World's youngest grandmaster, Abhimanyu Mishra, is an amazing talent. We've been following his journey since, he was a young kid, then he became the youngest IM, then the youngest GM. But now starts the real grind where he has to reach the top players in the world. And the boy has begun that at the Spring Chess Festival, Spring Classic B Group. Abhimanyu performed above an ELO of 2700 and finished first. These are the standings from that event. And then at the Reykjavik Open, he finished joint second and fifth position in the tournament. Thereby, he has pumped up his rating from 2505 to 2535. So we invited Abhimanyu and we want to talk about a few of his games. But first, I want to ask Abhimanyu about his intense pose of thinking. Look at this picture, he's just completely focused here. Let's ask him. Hello, Abhimanyu.
Hi Sagar, it's always a pleasure to be on this channel. I have so many great memories from this.
Abhimanyu, my question is there are some pictures of you like really focused. This one was quite similar to that, Look at you there. Is it something that happens to you naturally when you sit on the board, like you forget everything else?
Yeah, that game was a very, very intense game, and it was much more complicated than usual, and of course, but yeah, it happens usually too.
Okay, so you took a short break after achieving your GM title, right? You didn't play for a few months.
Yeah,
And then you began playing, and you played some three events recently.
yeah. Actually, before these great events happened, what happened was after I became GM, I took a break for some time, and then I played like two events. Both of them didn't go so well. So well, overall, I lost like 12 points from both of those events. So from 25-17, I became 25-05.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had this great tournament in Spring Classic. And after that, I played two more events. My next tournament didn't go so great. I lost like 8 points, and here I gained 11 more.
Right, right. So now you're 25, 35, and when we talk about break, you were actually writing a book.
Yes, that's right. So my book, I'll explain what's inside my book. My
Right.
book conveys my whole journey from how I started chess and everything up to this point. It Inside my book there are like multiple chapters. Like for example, from I have two national records and two international records. So for example, how did I become an international master? What is needed for me? What was needed for me to become from a national master, like 2200 to 2400? What did I work on in that period? And I have a lot of very highly annotated games, which also helps convey my whole journey.
This is amazing. I'm going to get that book right away when it's released. I think it'll happen later in this year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay. Guys, we will look for it. It's going to be done by New in Chess. It's published by them. So that's going to be epic. But it's also amazing, Abhimanyu, how you are able to finish one thing after the other, like youngest IM, youngest GM, then write a book, now moving towards 2600. And yeah, it requires a lot of focus. I think you're also studying, right? You do continue your education.
Yeah, I go to some online school, which helps. And the reason I go to an online school, like it's a great online school. It's like a world class online school. The
What's
thing
the
is,
name of it?
they it's called Crimson Global Academy, CGA.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I'm doing an online school and not like an actual like the real like I'm not sure how to
Over
say
the
that, like
board school.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so the reason I'm not doing that is so I can get more time. And these guys, this school is very great as they're very flexible with the schedule. And even if I miss it, like I'm able to take time off for tournaments and preparation.
Fantastic. This is you require all the elements if you want to become a top player. Abhimanyu, we're going to look at two of your games, and one from the Spring Classic, the other one from Reykjavik Open. And we'll ask a few questions. The viewers can pause the video and try to think when we ask them. So let's begin. Can you tell us a bit about this game with Robert Hungaski? He was rated 2554.
Sure. So in this was a great tournament for me. Yeah, I gained like 30 points overall, which is generally a lot at this level above 2400 when your K factor is 10,
Right.
as it's very difficult to gain points. And I think this was maybe round 5. And what happened was like first round I drew, and second round I like my first 2 rounds weren't so great. I lost my second round to Ali Marandi, and from there I started winning games. So I won my first game against Harshit Raja, a grandmaster from India. Then after that I won another game, and I think this is my third game.
Okay. Let's have a look at it. And any
Oh, and
thought? Sorry.
I'd like to mention one more thing. So actually, this game is actually kind of special for the reason that I before when I played under 14 World Youth, Robert Hungaski was my coach there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. So you're playing against your coach, and he is from US, or where is he from?
yeah, he's from US.
Okay, cool. So the game begins with e4. You are playing with the white pieces. Hungaski, what kind of a player is he?
Like I'm not like I don't remember fully when I had my preparation against him, like what type of player he was. I guess yeah, he's a very tactical player.
Hmm.
Like he like even in this game, it's like he played a kind of sharp opening, this h6 g5 in this opening, and I mean it's not if he didn't want exactly a quiet game as such, I guess.
Okay, so you played the Italian knight f6, d3, h6, castles, d6, c3, and g5. How do you explain that such a move can be possible in the opening? You're just not developed, white has castled, and you are playing h6, g5.
Yeah, the reason why this is possible is like if you take some very open like say some opening with the center being open, that this kind of idea will not be working because white will have some immediate something in the center. But the reason why this works in the Italian, and I mean this is a very good line. I think I've also played it once, if I remember correctly, or I was planning to play it. And the reason what this line is like a bit is kind of fine for black is that of course yeah black has other alternatives like instead of h6 d6 he could have played bishop c5 on move
Right,
5 or 6
right.
whatever it was. But the reason it's working here is that like black's idea in fact is not even trying to. In some situations he can try to attack white and the king side with say g4 and h5, but he just wants to go say bishop g7 and castle,
Ah.
and he can just gain some space on the king side. White hasn't done anything immediately in the center yet, so black has some time, and he chooses to develop this way.
Don't you think I can just play d4 and say to black that I can open up the position now?
Yeah, I think d4 is one of the moves here, but it isn't so great for some reason. Maybe you can go like g4 or something,
Uh-huh. And
and the
g4, and
bishop.
the knight doesn't have a very good square, yeah, to go to.
Yeah, because this g5 g4 it also kind of discourages d4 in some situations as now this one less protector of the center.
Okay, got it. So you went knight d2, bishop g7, bishop went back, a6, knight came to
Yeah,
c4.
a6 is a bit of a strange waiting move. The reason is because black doesn't want to commit to castle yet, as maybe somewhere he can go bishop e6, queen d7, and castle long.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't want to go bishop e6 directly for the reason that I can take on e6 and go d4. And concretely, this works here because g4 I can play d takes c5, I think.
Uh, and now if you take, now his structure is slightly spoiled, and you can move your
Yeah,
knight away maybe somewhere.
maybe knight e1, c2, e3, or
Hmm.
yeah, anything should work. Queen b3 is also a threat.
Right. So he went a6, but this was part of your prep, right?
Yeah, a6 is a move, and I think funnily enough, a5 is also one of the top moves here.
a5 is also playable. Okay, a6, you went knight c4. This is a nice hole here. Maybe you can at some point
Yeah.
get your knight there. Bishop e6, d4. Okay, clearly he can't take this pawn because of d5. He loses a piece.
Yeah, and here actually g4 is one of the other moves, but white should be better. It's a very complicated variation after g4. You go like d5,
Mm-hmm.
g takes f3, d takes e6, and f takes e6, queen takes f3. But I think that white should be better here, but because I mean, of black doesn't really have so much counterplay. Like maybe later he can go queen e7, castle on rook d8, rook at g8, but it'll take him some time. And his bishop on g7 isn't great, and he has this double pawn in the center.
Right.
And
So,
meanwhile, white has the bishop pair, bishop c2, b4 can happen. Many plans for white.
hmm, hmm. So that's the reason why he took on d4. You took with the knight. Mhm. You couldn't take here
Yes.
with the pawn, huh?
You could take with the pawn, but the issue here is that black can play d5,
Hmm.
like in the game, and you don't have this extra option of knight f5.
Because his knight is already here. So with knight
Yes.
takes d4, it's a very concrete thing he took. You took back, and now when d5 comes, now your knight can move. It's very interesting that here the first idea, of course, would be to put your knight in the center, but you go to the side.
Yes, the reason is because e4 is hanging, and I need just this one tempo, so I can clarify the situation in the center. For example, say e5 next.
Okay. So here you don't like doing this because after knight d5, black is very comfortable.
Yeah, he doesn't have any issues. His bishop is great on g7,
Hmm.
and I have an isolated pawn, which doesn't seem so great here.
Right. So that's why you went knight a5, attacking this pawn on b7. Um, and now if he were to take this, you take on b7, and then your knight can come to c5 as well.
Yeah, this is also a fine variation for black. I mean, I think white still maintains some pressure here, like say queen c8, knight c5, and black's king is still a bit weak in the center, and whenever he castles, there can be some possible f4 ideas to open the king side.
Hmm.
So white should be a bit better here.
Okay. So he went b6, and now bishop a4 check. Is this still part of your prep?
Yes, this is still part of my preparation here. So
Amazing.
bishop a4 check. The reason I played this is because I want to force b5, or I can play knight c6 without queen d7 being a threat.
Okay. So if b5
Yeah.
here, then you are you can't move the bishop because e4 is hanging.
Yes, b5 is the best move, I think, and here you go with like e5, b takes a4, e takes f6, bishop takes f6, bishop d2, for example. And this should be a bit better for white because even though black has two bishops, his structure is a bit weird, is a bit ruined. Like I can play knight c6 next, queen takes a4. I can always pick up the pawn, not an issue. And yeah,
Okay. So he, after bishop a4, he could have played b5, but he decided to play king f8. Did this move come as a surprise to you?
yes. And actually, after I think he wasn't prepared for this bishop a4 check idea, and he wanted to find something over the board, which I didn't know. But king f8 isn't such a great move, and I think white has a big advantage already here.
Right. You went knight c6, attacking the queen. He went queen e8. I'm sure you are now thinking of some discovered possibilities, like from the bishop, but there weren't any, right?
Yeah, there wasn't anything here. Like you can play 95, but there's b5, for example.
So you decided to push, and then he played b5. So it got really messy here. And maybe this is the first moment where people should think and try to figure out what's the best way for white to continue.
Yeah, it's a very, very sharp position here.
Okay, tell us what was your thought process?
Actually, I didn't play the best move in the game, and I believe it's like very difficult to find. The thing is here, your knight on c6 is hanging, and I did the most natural thing of taking his knight and moving my knight to the center with knight e5. E takes f6, bishop takes a knight e5. And after b takes a4, I get some f4 ideas, and I just want to start attacking his king. And this is still better for white, but somehow the computer gives this move queen c2. And of course, this a4 bishop is hanging, but the c6 knight is much more important.
How do
So
you
queen c2.
play a move like queen c2 when your bishop is hanging? I mean, it may not even come as one of the candidates.
Yeah, actually, I considered this, but my issue is after say b takes a4,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, that he has to take it. Otherwise, I play bishop b3, and this if you allow me to have an a on c6 without any material imbalance, then I'm just much better, of course.
Right. So
So
you
here,
take, right? And
but no, bishop takes f6, black is, it's probably maybe a bit better, but black is not too bad after king g7, and he'll consolidate. Like actually after b takes a4, my
one second.
first reaction,
B takes A4. Here is a tremendous move, guys. Try to think. And what should White do? Yes, Abhimanyu, go on.
yeah. So after b takes a4, I actually considered queen c2, but my main idea here was queen c5 check,
Mm-hmm.
with the idea that, like, say you can go king g8, knight e7 check, king h7. And here the issue is queen c2, he has knight e4, and he's just surviving barely.
Mm.
And I think if instead of queen c2, if you go f3 with the threat of queen c2, black can play rook f8 and he survives.
Like something like this, and he makes space for the king on h8.
Yeah, and black is not worse at all here.
Hmm. So it's actually very sharp, this position. I
Yeah,
mean, you're very close to mating him.
yeah, it's very close to mating, and apparently here there's a winning move, which I just completely didn't see.
But I don't blame you. I mean, bishop d2. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very close to winning here, I think. Maybe knight e4 is best choice, but you can go bishop e4 check, knight e7, and f3.
Yeah, the main point is that the queen was doing a dual role of checking and coming back. So you are using the queen to control this and now using the bishop for the check.
Yes.
So check, king h7 and f3 when white should have a huge advantage here. Okay, b5, you went takes, knight e5, and your opponent took. And now this is the next position for all the viewers. Try to think, what did Abhimanyu do here? Because if black is given time, he will try to consolidate his position. So it's time to strike now. Yes, Abhimanyu, what did you do?
Sure. So I'll explain my thought process here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whatever you've said so far is right. If you give black, like, say, if he gets king g7 and he can play, say, queen b5 also, black is fine. I mean, this move came like instantly to me. The reason is because black's king and this h6 g5 can be risky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gain some space on the king side, but that can also backfire, as it's much easier for me to also open up.
Right.
And here I played f4. I just want to open up the f file where his king is.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So f4, and now he took, and I believe that after fe5, I mean, just a player who's played chess for quite some time would look at this position and conclude that white is better because his king is safer. He has a better pawn structure. But okay, he's a pawn down. That is something.
Yes, he is down by a pawn, but I don't think you can really consider this a6 and a4 to be a pawn. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it's a pawn, but I'll play bishop d2, rook c1. I don't really care about what's going on the queen side. I'll go like rook c1, queen f3. c5 is a weak pawn. Rook can go to f6. Queen goes to h5. I thought this was actually winning, should be winning somehow during the game, but black still has some defensive resources.
Right. And the engines are very optimistic about black's position. And do you like ever think that engines can be wrong? I mean, I don't say wrong in the sense that their evaluation is wrong, but like practically you don't sometimes need to heed their evaluation because humans think differently.
Yeah, definitely. This position is not, I mean, if I remember correctly, it's still giving some advantage for it, like, say, like 0.07. But I think, like, in practice, the advantage is much bigger because the black king doesn't really have a safe place to stay. Because whenever you go like king g7, I can go rook f6, queen h5, h4, and just open up the king side. And the king in the center isn't also that safe because I can just play queen c2, queen c5, and start attacking from there.
Correct. Yeah. So he went queen b5. You developed your bishop to e3. You don't care that he takes your pawn on b2.
Yeah, this is actually a nice moment. The idea of bishop e3 is queen takes b2, and this is another very critical moment.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, you can pause the video here.
Right. Okay,
The reason
I
is,
would have taken a pawn on a4 and maybe that's what I would, but it's not the best, right?
yeah, it's not the best move. It's. I think white should still be better there, but I had a much more powerful idea in mind here.
Okay, what is it? Try to think, guys. And Abhimanyu, what was it? Was it rook f2, queen h5? What?
No, no.
No?
Actually, this pawn on b2 is. I wanted to bring my bishop to a3, e7. So if this bishop sits
Oh,
on this diagonal, then white is going to win this. So my idea was bishop
wow.
c1 back.
Wow, what a move. What a move. Oh, so it's just like come, take it, and give my bishop a new life. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because like here, if you go say queen b5, I can go bishop a3, e7. Everything like queen h5 can happen. Rook f6. It's terrible for black.
Amazing, amazing.
And of course, rook on a1 isn't hanging. I can give check and take the queen.
Yes, exactly. So after bishop c1, you can't take this. Bishop a3 check. Wow. So he did well not to take it. He went rook b8 for the time being. You now played your rook to c1.
Yeah,
And
rook c1 I think is a bit of an accuracy. Maybe rook f2 is a bit stronger just to defend this pawn first.
hmm.
I honestly just underestimated black's defensive possibilities after queen takes b2.
But
Because
now
after
you
say
don't
I
have
couldn't,
that same idea, right? Which was to
yeah.
bring your bishop.
Yeah, I think actually rook on a1 is better here for white.
Right. Uh, so here, black should have been brave and taken this pawn, but I can understand that you don't want to give up your pawn on c7 with a rook on the 7th, the queen coming to h5. And so he went queen d7, defending the pawn on c7.
Yes. And this position, I think if you give black some time, I mean, it's not great for black, but if he gets a king e7, rook b6, rook b8, and he starts like, and if I don't have anything direct,
Hmm.
he should be not fine as such, but it should be not too bad.
But these pawns are weak, right? He can never
Yeah,
like
it's
go there.
terrible.
Just this will always be under pressure.
Yeah, like even king e7, I have queen f3, queen f6. It's
Yeah,
not so simple, but
yeah.
I also need to create direct threats.
So you went here, and I mean, you don't have a threat as such right now. Maybe queen f6 is a threat.
Yeah, queen f6, rook h7, maybe h4. Just try
Hmm.
to open up the king side.
So here, and h4 is the idea. So he took on b2, and I think this is a mistake, right?
Yes, this is a mistake. But I mean, I understand what he was trying to do because I mean, if you don't take on b2, I go like rook say rook f2, rook c2, c7 is weak, c5 square, you can never get
Hmm.
control over
Hmm.
it. It's just torture for black.
Correct. So he took here, and guys, now is your time to think. What did Abhimanyu do here? Uh, Keep in mind this concept of L LPDO. Abhimanyu, I like to keep saying that. Do you know that?
No, not yet.
It's called loose pieces drop off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here's the rook, which is loose, and the move that Abhimanyu unleashed was bishop takes g5. How does that work, Abhimanyu?
Yeah, the idea is pretty simple. I think he also saw it, but he just wanted to somehow just this pawn on g5. He wanted to trade it off for something.
Hmm.
At least here, black has some very, very vague ideas of say rook g8 and start trying to attack the king on g1. But
Okay.
of course, it doesn't work. Like here, yeah, if h takes g5, I have queen h3 check. I pick up his rook.
Yes, that's the key point. It's a double attack and he loses the rook. So king e8 was played by him.
Yeah,
And
instead of king g8, actually, I was considering rook takes g2 check. The idea of black is he just gives up his rook and he, like, say king takes g2, h takes g5. He just picks up a few pawns and but I think white should be winning here with the idea of like say queen f6. You just have to be very careful of one thing that bishop h3 check. Okay, you have to play king h1 because king
yeah,
g1 there's queen g4.
and this is hanging now.
So bishop g2 check.
Oof.
Bishop king takes g2. Queen h3 check. But yeah, actually king takes g2 is a mistake because now king f2 queen h4 is actually a draw.
This is a draw.
Yeah, this is perpetual somehow.
Oh,
King to
like
queen
king
e4.
oh, this way.
Or maybe not this, but you have king d2 here. But sorry, d2 d4 hangs. Yeah, this is
Hmm.
a draw.
Hmm.
So the way how you win actually after bishop g2 check is king g1.
Ah, king g1. Nice, nice.
And now there's nothing black can do.
Well, he can move his rook, but then you can also move your rook.
Yeah, maybe even rook b1 turning mate on d8 or e6.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, this did not work. So he went king e8, and now another moment where white to play. What do you do here with white? Okay, Abhimanyu, my thought would always be like bishop f6, just put the bishop on this beautiful square, or think of something like queen f6. But you came up with something very nice.
Yeah, I think also maybe queen f6 might be winning also. Like rook g8, you can take queen takes h6, but black still has this one annoying rook on b2 where somehow, like it's very unlikely, but say like maybe bishop 5, bishop e4, somehow there's some very minor counterplay. Queen g4 can happen, and my king is a bit unsafe. So the main issue is that you would love in this position to trade off these two rooks on b2 and c1. So therefore, instead of playing queen f6, I play this move rook b1.
This is something which I would read in a book, and I would say to myself, yes, very nice. I understand rook on b2 is active, trade the most active piece. But when it would come to my game, I would be like, no, no, my bishop is hanging. So how did you get this clarity of thought that, here, this is the most important thing?
I saw rook b1, and once you see the idea that your bishop, like you can postpone moving your bishop for a minute, then everything is much more clear. Because like rook takes b1, rook takes b1, h takes g5. I mean, generally I wouldn't just hang a bishop like this, but here you have rook b8 check. It's not. I'm not hanging anything. Queen f6 is made.
Right, right. So he decided that, okay, rook b1 is very strong. Let's go back and
Yeah, this is a very nice move also, rook b5. The idea is that he's saying, if you want, you can trade off the rooks, but I get to fix my pawn structure.
Absolutely. So you're not interested in that. You went queen f6. Now rook to
Yeah, now
c8.
once his rook is not active on b2 anymore, and if it's like on b5 where, I mean, I'm not pressurized in any way, I don't really care.
Right. So now you took on h6, and from being a pawn down, now the material is even, and in fact it looks like you're a pawn up now because you have this very powerful passer.
Yes.
So
And here there's another key point that, like, yeah, he played queen c8. Bishop 5 is the most natural move because, I mean, this bishop is just a sleeping pawn. It's just defending f7 and d5, tall pawn, but bishop 5, I have queen takes a6, I think. The idea is if rook takes b1, I have rook takes b1.
rook takes.
If bishop takes b1,
if bishop takes b1,
I have queen a8.
queen a8 is over.
Yeah, sorry, I meant after rook takes b1, rook takes b1. Yeah, bishop takes b1, I have queen a8, same idea. And if rook takes g5, I have rook b8 and queen f6.
Rook takes g5.
Sorry, I mean if first you trade off the rooks and then rook b8, queen f6.
Sorry. Here, of course, if rook takes g5, there is rook takes b5. So if he takes, and now rook g5. Okay, it's still lost, right? I mean,
yeah, rook b8, queen f6, man.
Right. Got it. Okay, so he couldn't activate his bishop, so he went queen c8. You came back. King d7. And now it's tempting to give this check and get him further out.
Yeah, I mean, in a bullet game, what you would probably do is you play queen d7 check, king c6, rook takes b5, a takes b5, queen c5 check, king d7. But the issue is now king d7 and queen takes b5, c6. You actually lose the piece.
Oof.
Otherwise, this would be great, but there's no way to defend the bishop, and now you're lost all of a sudden.
Horrible. So here again, you showed that now you're not interested in exchanging the rook. So it was a little dance from rook c1 to b1 to c1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind a trade of rooks, but I don't want him to fix his pawn structure. But of course, rook takes b5 should also be winning. You just have to make sure you don't go take the pawn.
Right.
Just a bit more complicated.
So queen f8, stopping queen e7 check. You went h4, king c8.
And h4 isn't really weakening my king for the reason that I just defend my bishop on g5. And now I just defend everything, and now rook on g8 is just useless, and my king can never come under attack.
Amazing. So you went rook c6. Uh, you want to double? He went rook b6.
Yeah, because if king b7, I can play rook to c6 and I win a piece.
Rook here.
Yeah, rook g6, I can take on g6.
Yeah, sure. Correct. So he went rook b6, rook c1. He took rook takes and king b7. So it seems like black is coordinating in some ways now. His king looks safer, but it's only a matter of time till you transfer your queen back on this side. Yeah.
Yeah,
So rook c5, rook g6, queen f1. Nice move. Nice move.
like queen f2 is also possible, but by comparison, I like queen f1 for the reason that like queen on the a6 pawn is also like under some pressure, like somewhere I can take on a6. Rook a5 can be another threat with the queen on f1.
Right. So with f1, you put more pressure on a6, queen e8, check, king a8, and now you snatched
Because
f1.
it's actually just a terrible position for black. Like he's like dead lost. King c8, I have queen b6, and I just take on a6. It's
Ooh,
even worse.
right, right. So king a8, you took, threatening a mate. He came here, hoping that you would trade the queens, but of
Of course,
course,
queen d8 is also completely winning, but just no. I just want to
you want
mate
to
this
mate
guy.
him. You want to mate him. So queen b6, rook to c5, queen b4, queen d3, king b7.
I mean, I was getting a bit irritated here because I mean, there's not in like a direct mate, but the thing is, black's pieces are not doing anything on the king side. So I just keep playing. I just keep maneuvering around here. So play rook c1, rook b1 is a threat now.
It's like
King a7.
your queen and rook are playing against just the queen. So sooner or
Yeah,
later you're going to crash through. And now queen a3
queen.
with the threat of entering here, and he resigned. Okay, he can win
Yeah,
a pawn with a check, but
no, bishop e3. Bishop e3.
bishop e3 is there. Oops, sorry.
He didn't. I mean, for some reason, there's some error with the game notation, but he played a few more moves. But I mean, I think eventually also I got my bishop in. I played bishop e7 c5 also, and it was terrible. I made it him.
And you won that way. Okay, fantastic. What a game this was, Abhimanyu. Enjoyed it, improved our understanding of many things, and also understood that a game has many things which you have to calculate concretely and many things which you have to feel as well.
Yeah,
So let's have a look at another game of yours. uh, this one was your win against Idani Pouya from Reykjavik Open. How was it in Reykjavik?
yeah. It was a great place overall. I mean, that's where I think Bobby Fischer, he died there also, right? There was his grave was there, and there were like volcanoes and everything. It's a very interesting place. But I mean, I didn't get time to explore it during the tournament.
Yeah, talking about volcanoes, you got a trophy which is something like a rock made up of volcano. Is it true?
Yeah, this is the trophy. It's a bit straight. It's a bit hard to show. So
Wow, wow. Uh,
I mean, I got this for the junior section, so I got first place there, so they gave this.
it's like this lava, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. So it's a great memory for you.
definitely.
Hmm. Okay. So you are playing against Idani Pouya, who is a very strong GM from Iran. And also, he's beaten many strong players, very good aggressive player. So going into this game, it was the last round, right?
Yes.
So a lot of
This was
pressure
the
also.
yeah, this was the last round, and yeah, it was a very tense round. So I think there were three people on 6.5: Max Warmerdam, Matt Anderson, and Pragnanda,
Yeah.
and everyone else and the top few boards had six. So Idani also had six. I had six. So if Idani wanted any chance of winning the tournament, he needed to win this game. So he went all out.
So that also helps sometimes. You are black,
Yes,
you are
definitely.
slightly lower rated, so he'll do the hard lifting, he will play for the win, and you'll get your chance.
Yes.
So it was the Sicilian Najdorf, an opening which you love to play, h3, uh, and e5, knight f3, bishop e7. He went g4.
Yeah, this h3 g4 is a bit rare. The idea is like in this specific move order, I think bishop e3 is also another move here.
Hmm.
But the thing is, the point of h3 g4 is that one, like white is trying to attack on the king side, and I don't want to allow g5 for the reason that I don't really care. I don't think he's not going to try to mate with. He's not going to try to mate me with like say h4 h5.
Hmm.
He just wants to get control of this d5 square because once my knight on f6 is a great piece which just controls e4 and d5, he wants to take that off.
Right. So h6 is prophylaxis, just stopping g5. Rook g1. You put your bishop here, and he anyway went g5. Actually, in this position, bishop e6 is the first new move already.
Really? I
Yeah.
didn't know this actually.
Yeah, I think so. I see that there were a few games here, like Karyakin, Firuza, Ponkrato, Wojtaszek, and all these games went either b5 or queen c7 and so on. But bishop e6, I think, has not been played before.
Yeah, the idea is pretty simple. I just want to develop very quickly, and I don't care what white is going to do on the king side.
Right. What about your king? You can't castle short, right? Because that there will be g5,
Yes.
and also you don't really want to go long. You just keep it in the
So
center.
far, I don't want to go long, but long term there's a possibility for the reason that also white has wasted a few tempi playing this h3, g4, rook g1. So definitely, if white wants to justify the setup, he wants to play g5 and open this king side. So once he attacks more on the king side, then castle queen side could become a very real possibility.
Right, right. So g5 takes, knight takes g5, went knight to c6, and he took, pawn takes, and rook g7. So you have given up the pawn here on g7. What's the compensation?
My compensation is that, yeah, even though white is up by a pawn and has two bishops, his king is very weak in the center so far. He's a bit underdeveloped, I have much more pieces out. And his king side is also, even though it's a pawn, this pawn on h3 is not really the best pawn I've seen.
Right. So queen b6.
And this double pawn in the center actually helps me as
No knight
in
d5.
idle this d5 square is very important, and here I have infinite control. Like I can go castle long d5 whenever I want.
So had you studied such kinds of positions before, or it's like now
Yeah,
it's all over the board?
I knew this for like a bit, like this knight c6, queen b6, around up to here, but then next move he played a4, and I just completely didn't know what to do.
Ooh, okay, okay. And now it's black to play. What should black do in such a position? My first thought could also be long castle here. Just I mean, I want to go rook g8 like you taught me a few minutes ago, that exchange the active rook. So I want to get one rook out. Is that a bad idea?
Rook g8 here, I don't think is so great
No,
because I
not
mean
here.
here,
I mean after long
okay,
castle, and then
yeah.
trade a rook so that his active rook is out.
Yeah, it's actually one of the moves here, but I didn't like it for the reason that if I go castle long, white will now play a5. I cannot take on a5 because c7 hangs.
Right.
So say I go queen c7 and bishop e3, and now bishop goes to b6. It's very unpleasant. I have to play queen d7 also, and I don't like this at all for black. Like knight a4, knight b6 is another idea for white. It's unpleasant.
Yeah, yeah. So queen, you decided to play queen b4 here.
I didn't know this a4 at all, and apparently for some reason black's best choice is knight h5. After rook g6, you go knight f6 back. I think maybe, yeah, you just want to play castle queenside next, and you're just saying, and white doesn't really have a very useful move as such here.
Right. So you
But it's
went,
very, very messy.
yeah, this could have been an idea, but you went queen b4 and you're threatening maybe to just take on e4.
Yes, this was a very queen b4. Yeah, my main turn is knight takes c4. Apart from that, I want to play move d5. But there was a very interesting idea here for white, and I just completely missed this. Bishop d2 is, I think bishop d2 is best. Yeah, you can take b2, but I don't like maybe there's rook b1, and you can just like take b7 at worst.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't want to give this two rooks on 7th rank is a bit too much for me to handle.
Right. So
So
you naturally take this.
yeah, I think I wanted to play this, but this just loses on the spot apparently. I think there's queen g4, knight c3, rook takes c7,
Queen g4, knight
knight takes c3, and
yeah.
rook takes c7.
Uh-huh. And if knight
King
takes,
takes
he
this, queen
loses the
g7.
queen, and if king takes, there's this. Oof. Wow.
And maybe I think another good idea was like rook a3 instead of bishop d2.
To get the rook to b3.
And if knight takes e4, queen g4, same idea.
Uh-huh. But his idea was also very creative because now knight
Yes.
e4 means is there rook a4 or what?
No, queen g4, same idea.
Ah, same idea because rook a4 there's knight c3. So um
But
yeah.
maybe not. Yeah, I think actually after knight takes e4, there's some other stuff. Maybe was it queen g4, knight c3, rook e7, or maybe rook e7 first was also there. But yeah, probably not here.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is the one. And after actually after queen b4, bishop d2, this position isn't lost, right? Black can make another move, but it's not very pleasant either.
Yeah.
Like after queen b4, bishop d2 instead of knight takes e4.
Queen b4. Yeah, bishop d2. It's not
Like
it's
maybe
a
you can like it's not lost. Like you can play castle queenside or d5. I think was another move, but it's not. I think white should be a bit better somehow.
right. So
Very messy though.
in the game he went a5. You broke in the center with d5 now. Uh I'm a bit scared of this king here. But clearly he's also undeveloped, so you have to do something.
Yes.
Rook a4, queen to c5.
Actually, after rook a4, I think queen d6 or queen c5. There are two moves here.
Mm-hmm.
But I chose queen c5 for the reason that like long term after say castle queenside and rook f8, f2 could become a weakness.
Right.
And also if like okay, this is just a fun fact. If you look very closely at the photo, this is the same position where the photo is taken after rook a4. The rook is on a4, the queen is on b4. If
Oh, now I understand. Yeah, it's a position where you need to focus.
yes.
So queen c5, he took, and he played bishop g5. And these are the kinds of positions where things can get really nasty because now d5 is under pressure. The rook can swing over at some point. f6, rook e7 is in the air. Too many things happening.
Yeah, with black it's very difficult to play, but at the same time, if black consolidates, he will be much better, probably even winning, because the white king on e1 is just very weak.
Right. So you had to be careful here and you played long castle. Now this is the move that you want to play because if it works, you just coordinate everything. But it seems like something should fall.
Yes, but I don't see any direct tactic.
Because
Here
bishop
white has
f6, then you attack the rook again.
yeah,
So
that's what
there's
happened.
no time. Oh, he played it, yes.
But actually, there's a very surprising move for white. I mean, if you want, you can pause the video and try to find it, but
Hmm.
it's extremely difficult. Even at 26:30, after spending 15 minutes, could not find it. So
Wow.
very difficult.
Wow. Wow.
Apparently, somehow here, bishop takes a6 is equal.
Bishop a6. And if
ba6, queen e2.
oof. And
Black is
king
not lost by any means.
d7.
Like bishop takes f6. Sorry. So hang.
Ah, right. So you can't go to the seventh. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you can play say king b8, queen takes a6, and say rook d6, but it's very messy. White can play queen b6 also. I think there's some idea
Hmm.
because white has 3 pawns and he has a lot of activity.
Right. Okay. So bishop takes. Bishop a6 was best, but now after takes and rook f7, you are doing very well now. His pieces are just not coordinating.
Yes, this is a very critical moment. This is like another very critical moment. Like here, black has a few options. Like the most natural move here is rook hfa, but it just doesn't work because he can take on f8 and d5 will fall.
Hmm. And
And
also bishop h4, does that lose in some tactical way, or?
yeah, this was actually this is the decision I needed to make. Bishop h4, bishop e7.
Hmm.
The answer to this is bishop e7. Bishop h4 is another key idea which I was considering, but I wasn't so sure on what happens after, say, bishop takes a6, b takes a6, and say queen e2. And of course, if you see here, if you compare, the bishop is much better on e7, where it just cuts off this rook.
Right.
And knight b8 here, he has queen takes c5. I think it was with this, yeah. But rook h8 does something. Oh, sorry, knight b8, there's something else probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
because
queen e5, something else, maybe. Queen
there,
g4
there
check,
was some
maybe?
very, very strange, yeah, queen g4 maybe. But knight d7.
And then maybe some, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It's very messy. White, I think, yeah, black is still better. He has to give up a6 somehow, though.
Maybe queen e6. I don't know.
Yeah, this is not very pleasant.
Okay, so you went bishop e7, he went bishop g2,
E4,
played
and
e4.
if you give me like one move, I play rook h8. White is just completely lost. Because now you see his now c3 is not really doing great. You're attacking d5, but if I defend d5 and his rook on a4 is very misplaced, bishop on g2 is completely dead now. His king is very weak, f2 is very weak. After rook h8, I trade this off. Bishop h4 is move.
Right.
It's very difficult to defend. So rook f5 is, I think, best move.
It's putting pressure here. And you anyway
And here,
went this.
yeah, here I needed to see this move, rook h8 from advance. Because here d5 is hanging, there's no really great way to protect it.
But if he takes here, he's already getting
Yeah,
mated. So it works out. But I think he had another tactic in mind, which was knight e4.
I had to anticipate this also, but knight takes e4, I saw in advance I could play d takes e4, rook takes c5, rook takes d1, king takes d1, bishop takes c5, bishop takes e4, bishop takes f2. And now you get this endgame where during the game I honestly wasn't sure if black was winning, but I mean I saw some very clear plans and I thought it's either it's winning or it's it's almost impossible to defend because your pawn on a5 is very weak even after this, and h3, generally in these kind of endings, if the pawn is not very advanced, you will lose this pawn eventually.
Right. And so here he took here, which is also an important decision from him.
Yes.
But he
He
thought
actually, now I have 2 pawns left. If he can trade both of them off, he makes a draw, but that's not very simple to do. And c3.
And now you
I
came
mean,
up
if you
with a move which is more like schematic thinking, like you said, okay, I need my piece here, and this is how I want to think. So what did you play?
Sure. So if you want, you can pause the video here, and of course, many moves win in this position. You just need to find a plan for how black can continue. The move I played here is bishop g3. Maybe even you can do the same idea like rook h8, rook f4, and then bishop g3. The main idea is that I just want to bring my bishop to c7, where it'll attack this a5 pawn. And once I attack this a5 pawn, white cannot keep his rook on a4 the whole game because I can attack again with say rook f5. And once I put my bishop on c7, you have to play b4. And once b4 happens, I can attack his h pawn, bring his rook to say f3, d3, whatever on the third rank. Then I'll play rook h5 and c5 and break open the queen side. And after this, my king can go to b5 and everything will fall.
Nice. What a great plan. And actually, it all worked out pretty well.
So king d7, yeah, and this was, and actually after b4, I think it was a few moves ago, he just decided that if he lost all this stuff, then like b4, king d7, king c2, rook h6, he played rook d4 check, king c7. He actually could have saved his pawn with say rook d3. The idea is if rook takes h3, king b3, this is not what I want because now white survives. There's no way to make progress because my bishop is completely pinned. And actually, after rook d3, I was going to play bishop d6, and this is the same plan as I mentioned before. Rook h5 and c5 will happen.
Right. So he anticipated that and he wanted to be a little more active here, but
Yeah,
you
this was actually a very good attempt at trying to pose me some more problems. And the thing is here, I have two pawns, but I'm a bit stuck here.
right. And so, but you unraveled here after
Yeah,
king c8, rook e5, king b7.
I was just getting to move 40 where I have much more time, and now I played bishop d8 where now bishop d8, king d7. Now I just start.
Your king and bishop both work perfectly with each other,
Yeah,
and you manage to now the final move, black to play and win. Yes, bishop g5 with the idea of bishop c1 and a mate.
I
And
had to see one very important line here. I mean, of course, everything wins, but rook h7 check, king e6, rook c7. Many moves win, but I think the nicest is bishop c1, rook to c6, king d5, and now rook a3 check is made. Rook a3 is made, so rook to c6, I have king c4, and now rook a3 is impossible to prevent.
beautiful domination here. I mean, using all the pieces into the attack. And with this, Abhimanyu, you finished joint second and also great win against a 26-30
Thank you.
player. Very, very strong. And it was amazing to get to know your thought process. As always, we get to see how you are developing as a very strong player. What's your plan for this year? Like any aims that you have in mind?
Sure. So I'm planning to I'm going to reach 2600 soon, like maybe another few months. And my next tournament is actually in June. So June 1st, I'm going to play in St. Louis Group A, which is a very, very strong event with lots of 2600s. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to prepare and see whatever I can do there.
Well, our best wishes to you and hope to meet you soon. And good luck, Abhimanyu.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.